Hey, Commanders Nation, it's your boy Hog Farmer Keith from the Hog Farmers Charitable Foundation. Before you start listening to Owning the Huddle podcast presented by Red Zone in the Lab, check out our Amazon Smile, a simple and easy way to support the Hog Farmers Charitable Foundation every time you shop, and it costs absolutely nothing to you.
Welcome to DC. 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 Welcome to DC.
Welcome to Owning the Huddle podcast presented by Red Zone in the Lab, where we discuss all things Washington Commanders, from the executive and front offices, coaches, players, and fan experience. Join DT, Breeze, CeeLo, and Deuce as they break down the pre- and post games. Do it because you love it and not because it loves you. Hail Commanders!
Hey, so the Commanders just had their end of the season press conference. The season is over. A couple takeaways from that presser. Number one, the sale of this team is legit. They minimize the impact of the sale. I believe it is an actual impact because he mentioned budget like 3 or 4 times and meeting with the ownership. We have to pay attention to what's happening with the sale as it relates to the free agency, the draft, etc. Also, I don't think they have any idea what they do on offense. They kept saying they want to emphasize the run to the point where Martin even mentioned 2-1, which is insane. But the fact that they want to run with play action is completely counter to how their team is built. Their team is built to throw the ball, whether it's an extension of the run game, to the sidelines or down the field. The team is built to throw. That's exactly what they did coming out of the gate, but they want to be a run first. Also, I believe Howell has a legitimate chance to start and be QB1. I think that's an absolute opportunity or possibility. Of course, it'll depend on who they bring in for offensive coordinator. We'll talk about that later. But I do believe Howell has a legitimate chance to start. I think Payne's gone. That's simple. I think he's gone. And then, they mentioned they like building through the draft. That's clear. They love the draft. They love to get more picks. They've had an excellent, in my opinion, some really, really good, the last 2 drafts. They want to keep doing that. So I don't expect a huge, huge trade up scenario or huge offseason trade like for a quarterback, and given the possibility just because of the fact that they want to continue to build through that draft, which I think I agree with that. And, and lastly, zero accountability, right? This is a failed season. 8-1. Literally, if you do the math, that's exactly 500, even in an odd number game year, which is kind of funny. But this is a failure, and they didn't take any accountability. No accountability for the offensive line. No accountability for Carson Wentz. No accountability for just not being prepared after a bye week. They even went as far as to blame the weather in Virginia for having an impact on injuries. Seriously? So anyway, we get into it. Let's go.
Welcome to DC. You know we're down at the USA Cup. You're taking it slightly. I'm taking it slightly. Now you throw at you won't be right back. Well, we gon' be right here. We gon' be right here. We ain't going nowhere. Welcome to DC.
Welcome back again. This is actually take 2 because somebody forgot to hit the record button, but we're at it again. Welcome back to Owning the Huddle podcast. I'm Deuce. We got Breeze, we got CeeLo, and we got DT.
Ain't nothing, man. I said blessed and highly favored. Just happy to be back here with the gang, man. So,
what's going on, CeeLo?
It's all good, man. It's great to be home. Looking forward to getting through this this off-season catastrophe that's about to happen.
DT, the man of the hour, the superstar, the interviewer, just came off his interview with the Darren Haynes. How was that experience for you?
That was a wonderful experience, man. First time ever meeting the guy. Very humble dude, on camera and off camera. Gave me some advice, and great insight on the team. And it was a fun conversation with the Shakedown crew as Kayla and King Pope was up there. And I can't wait for y'all to see this episode, man. It was pretty dope.
Cool, man. Yeah, man, I can't wait. I was in there on the beginning, but of course we had to jump off with some good conversations that was going on. But let's get to football, man. Another Turner has been fired from this organization. Let's go to Breeze. We know how you feel about Scott Turner, so I'm going to start right off with you. Were you surprised?
I'm surprised that he actually fired him. Between, we all know Ron is loyal to a fault. All this ownership stuff going on. So while I 100% feel like it needed to happen, I'm actually surprised it actually did happen though.
What about you, CeeLo? Were you surprised at the firing?
I kind of agree. I was halfway thinking he may stick it out because of the ownership transition, but he ended up going through with it, and I think that's best for best for the team. I just think I'm glad that they went through with it. Never want somebody to lose their jobs. It's not nothing personal. I just think it was time to move on and go in a different direction.
Were you surprised, DT? I mean, not like, were you surprised that Ron actually pulled the trigger?
I was not. I believe it was meant to happen and things like that. It was too many indirect comments and things going around on social media from the players and things like that, from Charles Leno's wife to Logan Thomas' wife, and even Terry McLaurin indirectly liking a tweet talking about the offense. I think the writing was on the wall for a couple of weeks now, and I have said in group chats, I have said in spaces that I feel like there is a philosophy indifference in that organization from Scott Turner and Ron Rivera. We all know that Scott really wants to throw the ball, and Ron is old school. He wants to run the football and play complementary football with the defense. So I think, he's a young coordinator. He has great innovative plays, but it's all about stringing them plays together with consistency. And that has been a big thing for this offense and why we have not gotten rhythm. And he's going to get a job, surprisingly to some people. I mean, when you look on film, he has great innovative plays. Like, let's not sleep on that. But I think for him, this is probably a learning experience for him.
And I want to go back to something I kind of thought about with you, Breeze. Were you, and I know you say you wasn't like the surprise part, but when do you think that Ron actually said that, yeah, it's time for this guy to go? And I'm gonna come back to CeeLo with the question to kind of bounce off of that one.
Honestly, I feel like once stuff started kind of coming out in the media about the players not being happy about it, is when I kind of feel like he was like, yo, if I don't make a move, I might lose. I run a risk of losing my team. I feel like that's when the decision was made. It could have been earlier in the season, just lacking the ability to score, especially in the red zone. But I feel like for sure, like in that short time frame, like when the season ended, I think Ron had every intention of trying to bring Scott back, and then, or more or less. And then, like, once stuff really started getting out about, players openly being unhappy and upset with the way things were going, I think he kind of forced his hand a little bit.
Do you think Ron was pressured, CeeLo, to make that call? Do you think, because we usually don't hear nothing coming out of there with stuff like this, right? We don't, all these reports started coming and the players start flipping and all that. Was that Ron saying, yeah, let me let a few of these reports slip out so I can be kind of justified and kind of, it's like he had to prove to himself, yeah, I need to make this call.
Man, if that's true, I am underestimating Ron if he did something like that. That's good. That's diabolical.
That's
like,
nasty.
Wow. Like, that's some good work. Right? Good job. If Ron did that, bro, I have grossly underestimated this dude. But think to Breeze's point, I think he probably did feel very much justified, after hearing some of those tweets and it's I get the impression too. We all know this. Ron is kind of a player's coach. He looks out for his players.
Oh, yeah.
He may have went to Terry or even John Allen or just one of the captains and say, hey man, what y'all think? What are y'all seeing in there? What are you feeling in the flow of the game? Yada yada yada. And they might have been like, yeah, coach, listen, we like Scott, but we don't love Scott. You feel me? So and that might have been that simple. We're like, okay, got it. And then they moved on. So it might have been a couple of things, the losing, the stuff coming out on social media, and then the players kind of validated that.
Breeze, what do you want as your OC? You being an OC, Coach Breeze. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? We thought we could get you a interview not too late. You know what I mean? What the weapons that we have in this team that we have, what type of coordinator?
Ron Rivera at commanders.com.
I'm on the fence. Listen, we can get Coach Breeze interviews. I know how to get the ass burned. I can make it happen. Orlando, that's a little closer. But I'm on the fence, man. I'm on the fence because we have enough weapons with the receiver core and the running back, and quarterback. I want to be able to take advantage of.
Some house slander.
Don't start. You know how my Twitter is. Please don't stop. I like Sam Howell. I like Sam. We have a lot of weapons that I feel like Scott Turner kind of struggled to take advantage of, and that may have been part of his problem. Struggling trying to figure out how I'm gonna get the ball to Terry and Jahan and Curtis and Antonio and Brian. They're trying to spread the ball out too much and it just working backwards with him. But I want somebody that's gonna be able to take advantage of the weapons that we have, without having to tear everything down. This organization has a huge issue, not just with this regime, but historically, with getting coordinators that try to make players do what they want instead of getting players that fit their scheme. You know what I mean? So I need somebody that's going to come in and just be able to take advantage of what we have to the best of their abilities.
CeeLo, when we're looking at this team, I'm going to give you 50 offensive plays, right? The game is pretty even throughout the day. I mean, throughout the game. So, we don't need to run the ball to hold it. The teams are pretty even. We're not afraid. Our defense is clicking. Their defense is clicking. When we talk about run versus pass, what do you want that ratio to look like if we having 50 snaps from your offensive coordinator?
I mean, I want a balance. So for me, I know, fans like ourselves and analysts and media people, we love to look at individual plays. That 3rd and 1 in San Francisco, we tossed it, like we were like, no. So for me, I want someone that has a good feeling for the game. I want someone that knows their personnel as best you can, right? It's a short period of time, but knows your personnel, knows their strengths, and knows the situation, and it is able to execute. So sometimes you may get an off-balance game. You may throw a little more because circumstances dictate that, whether you're behind or whether they have a weak secondary, whatever. So I'm not so hung up on the ratio personally, but at the end of the season, like we're just doing like a review of the season overall, I'm looking for balance. So right now, the Philadelphia Eagles, who I believe have won 13 games, right? Or was it 14 games? Yeah, they won a lot of games this regular season. They're like exactly 50%. Like exactly 50%, which is incredible, right? Everyone thinks that you got to throw the rock, 60 times. You don't. It's just circumstance and situation, and taking advantage of your athletes, letting Jalen Hurts look a couple. Hey, it ain't there. I'm gone. It's okay. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm gone. I'm gonna get 4 or 5 yards. Maybe I get 20 yards, but whatever, you just get positive yards. Move on to the next play. That's all I want.
DT knows who we want, right? He knows the OC that he wants. Talk to us.
So, 2 guys come to mind for me, and when we look at this team, one of the things that really struck me, obviously, is with the quarterback position kind of in flux once again, but you do have Sam Howell on the team. I believe more than likely he's going to get the opportunity to show what type of quarterback he is. So you have to do not only to maximize his talent, but you have to protect him as well. You don't want to overexpose a young quarterback like that when he's trying to develop. So I think they want to go with more balance and fit some things that he loves to do. And two guys that I really like in this process of going over, looking at things like that, one of them is Joe Brady. Now, of course, you know, he was in Carolina under Matt Rule, but in my opinion, I feel like he was a scapegoat due to all the malfunctions in that organization lately. But this is a guy that comes from the New Orleans system under Sean Payton, where they utilize 5 wide receivers and a balanced running back. And when you look at this personnel, you have legit 5 wide receivers that can make plays and 2 running backs that can catch, actually 3 running backs catch the ball in the backfield and be effective running. With Sam Howell, who played in a spread offense, I think that's one of the best traits for him, especially RPO game, run game, QE run game, slants, bubble screen, things like that, get the ball out of his hands. Those are things that I see that Joe Brady can bring them the best out of this offense. And Curtis Samuel was also a guy who benefited from Joe Brady, had his career high numbers with him. And another guy is a local product for you guys, Pat Hamilton. This is a guy that has been working with a lot of quarterbacks. He was the DC Defender head coach a couple of years ago. But one thing about him, he worked with Andrew Luck. That was a guy who, from 2013 to 15, he was one of the top quarterbacks in the league, and he molded him. He took care of him. He maximized his talent, things like that. And when I think about a young Sam Howell, now this is crazy after coming off that interview with Darren Hayes. And I'm going to drop this nugget for you. When we talked with Darren about Sam Howell, when they were at OTAs and things like that with Taylor Heineke just said off gate, like, this kid is special, and I see why they drafted him. The arm talent flies off, and he can see this guy leading this franchise. So buckle up, Washington fans. That's a high remark from your guy, Taylor Heineke, who's in the room every day with Sam Howell. So I think a guy like Pat Hamilton can maximize his talent around him and get the best out of Sam Howell. That's a guy that will be a great guy who's a vet, who's been in the league for a long time, and can help Ron Rivera get over the hump offensively.
That's some good information, man, especially coming from Darren Hayes, brought to you by DT Ins and Out Podcast. Interview that he had with Darren Hayes. And coming from Taylor Heineke, it kind of means a lot, right? Because he's been in the building with him all spring, all summer. The winter, and from what they see in him, and now this report's coming out that like Logan Paulson, I know how I feel about Logan, is saying that Sam Howell could have came in week 5. You know what I mean? So the reports is that's crazy right now because the change has been made. Scott Turner is gone. Sam Howell looked okay in his last preseason game. So now we're getting all types of reports of maybe he was ready. Maybe they should have done it. So it's real concerning in a sense that we've never had this type of issue with Ron, with reports coming out of Ashburn like this so rapidly, kind of under control. So that says a lot. And I'm before we go to commercial, here's what Logan said. If I was going to give Scott feedback, there wasn't always a plan. Like, he's going to tell him, like, it wasn't always a plan with you, right? You're calling a play because you like a play, but it wasn't always leading to anything. Like, that's crazy, right? And he said he felt like he didn't call plays to set up subsequent plays. And that's something that we talked about all season long. So if this conversation is happening all season long, something is it's a real issue with Scott. And I think we're going to even hear more about it after the Ron Rivera era is over, that I think that some things went on in that building that just didn't sit right with the organization. It's starting to come out, but this is what Ron doesn't want, right? He doesn't want stuff to start coming out of Ashburn. He has to get a hold of it. Now, if he's the one that kind of loosened up that bottle cap a little bit, You know what I'm saying? He can tighten it back up. But that's what I think that's kind of happened. But when we come back from the break, we're gonna get into, do we sign back Jack Del Rio? The budget meeting is Monday with Dan Snyder. That's gonna be interesting to kind of see where that goes. And our Not About Us, Lamar Health Date. Lamar Health Update comes from Dr. Lamar Jackson. So that's kind of crazy, right?
The calendar says that summer is ending soon, but we're still outside. So when it's time to hop in your ride, make sure you book the best mobile detailing service in the DMV, Miles Detailing. Call 240-273-4018 or contact on Instagram at Miles Detailing to book your service today. Mention Red Zone in the Lab podcast for 10% off detail services only. Ride in style with Miles Detailing, that is.
All right, Jack Del Rio. He's not under contract. He had a 3-year deal. He wasn't extended. The person that was extended was fired. So he starts that contract this year. So he's going to be making $9 million over the next 3 years for doing absolutely nothing for the Commanders. But Jack Del Rio, do you think it's the reason why he's not re-signed Brees, or do you think they're just kind of waiting for that meeting that they're going to have with the owner on Monday?
I'm sure they're just waiting for a meeting. I mean, I think at this point, a year ago, a lot of people wouldn't have agreed with, but I think Jack kind of earned, I think this season Jack kind of earned the right to stick around. Because I mean, if you decide to move on from him, then what's your steps, your option to replace him? I mean, what's the guarantee that it's any better? I think there are some schematic things that need to be tweaked and fixed a little bit, but I think Jack has earned his right to stick.
What do you think, CeeLo?
Yeah, I agree. With that last interview with Jack, I think it was the last game of the year. They talked about it. He talked about loving football. He talked about a lot of different things. I mean, he was kind of more like a little bit loose because I guess he had nothing else to hold back. But he was, talking about how he enjoyed football and he likes what he's doing. He doesn't really care about being a head coach. He said he'll obviously listen if the opportunity presents itself, but for the most part, he likes what he's doing. He likes these guys. So, I think that's a good attitude to have. And I think he's genuine because he does tend to say what he thinks. And I think bringing him back another year makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So especially if this is a lame duck season for Ron, which I'm not sure it is, but if it is, that's probably the best option for now.
DT, Woke Del Rio. I'm still undecided if I'm going to apologize again. I still think it's the Curl coffee. I'm sorry. But when it comes to Jack Del Rio, do you think he resigns? And also, do you think he's just here for Ron? Like, do you think if Ron goes or is Jack Del Rio going to retire? Or do you think he's going to stay around?
Well, I think that's an interesting thing. From, when we always talk about how this coaching staff pretty much is from Carolina, Ron and Jack Del Rio are the only ones that actually never worked together, but they probably kept in touch due to head coaches and things like that. They both played the same position. But I think for this budget meeting coming up, I think one of the questions is going to be what's going to happen with Chris Harris. Because there's a lot of reports coming out that he's starting to get interviews and things like that. And would you look at what he has done in the secondary, with the exception of the William Jackson III situation that was completely probably out of his hands or some hands that he had to deal with, he has developed 3 quality starters back there when healthy. Derek Forrest has balled out this year. Benjamin St. Juste, when he's played, he looks like a solid number 1 corner on this team. And, of course, we already know about Cam Curl. Cam Curl has been starting ever since his rookie year. And when we see coming to games, then Deuce will say the Curl coffee, like this man is the neutralizer of the defense, man. So I think, it could be some playing around. See, hey, do we give Chris Harris the opportunity to lead this group of men And even though I love Jack Del Rio, it could be some changes still. I mean, he still had 2 out of 3 top 10 defenses over his year, but it could be possible he might lean towards retirement. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to question his love for the game because he's still out there. But I think that's going to be an interesting thing to keep up with. I think a lot of people don't realize that he had a 3-year deal in Washington.
They both came in with 3-year deals, him and the other guy who got fired. But that guy was extended, as we said, and that actually starts this offseason. So
getting fired before your extension kicks in is crazy. How you sign an extension and they get fired before it kicks in?
That's
kind of nasty.
Yeah, that man Ron set him up. Ron probably knew he wasn't going to be here after this year. Got that man $8-9 million to do nothing. Though. But CeeLo, when it comes to this budget meeting, I don't think we're going to hear anything about any type of signing for OC or Rio, because I think it is looking like they're trying to see where they are money-wise. Ownership-wise, the ownership coming in, they want to do 2-year deal, 3-year deal, 1-year deal. It's very rare we see a coordinator get a 1-year deal, right? That's unless it's coming off an extension for like a couple years down the line, just to add 1 more year to kind of match up with the head coach or whatever the case may be. But what do you think when it comes to the hirings that this conversation is going to be like at the budget meeting on Monday?
So I think, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but so let's say they find someone that they really like, and they don't want to, give them too long of an offer because of what you just stated.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. If it's a guy that either got fired and he's getting paid, they can. If I understand it, if he ends up getting a job above his previous job, then they can still be a negotiation as far as how much he's still getting paid from his previous employer to the new job. So they may be able to work out a little deal. And then we've been talking about it a little bit, in the last couple of days, like an assistant head coach offense, something along those lines. So you may be able to entice someone who may be not as incentivized to come and work for you for 1 year, because in that way he's protected and he can potentially still have employment even after Ron is fired and the whole staff is fired. Knock on wood. Hopefully it doesn't necessarily happen that way. But that's an option. So I think the budget meeting is going to be mostly about what they can do, what they can spend on the off season. What are they going to do about Payne? Because if they want to sign someone like a Payne and give him like a lot of money up front, everyone knows you got to put cash up. You got to actually put cash in escrow to pay these players, which means for Payne, you may want to offer him, I don't know, $40 million signing bonus. Is he willing to pay that and put that in escrow for now? Or is he going to say, you know what? Let's wait till Bezos or somebody come in here. I'm not paying that. I don't really care about that. That kind of thing. So, we'll see. But I think it's going to be mostly around play acquisition and less about, the offensive coordinator.
What do you think, Breeze?
My bad. Say it again.
Yeah, with the budget meeting with Dan on Monday, what do you think that's going to be the focus? Do you think it's going to just be about hiring coordinators, what they're going to do in free agency, or is he going to talk about that plus what's happening with new ownership?
I think ownership has to be a big part of the conversation, because it's kind of weird. Like, I feel like Dan Snyder is going to operate Ron Rivera is going to operate as if Dan Snyder is owning this team, until he isn't owning the team anymore, which he should, in my opinion, as far as, coaches and building and roster building, all that kind of stuff. But Snyder is probably going to be more of a conversation of, I kind of don't want to do X, Y, Z because those decisions may lead to me having to pay money for something that I'm not going to own for much longer. And as far as comes to the football side of it, I feel like it'll have way more to do with roster construction and coaching at this point. I feel like Scott Turner was, although deservedly so, was kind of more of a scapegoat than anything else, and we're not going to see too many more people let go. Maybe the new OC might want to build, add a few pieces here and there, but it's not going to be a wholesale thing on offense. But it's definitely going to be a awkward conversation, though, for sure.
DT, do you think we're going to, after that meeting, and I'm guessing it's going to be in the morning, but who knows? I don't know where Dan is. He's overseas somewhere. Who knows where that guy is? After that meeting, do you think that's, how long after that do you think we're going to hear about the DC and the OC? You think it'll be fairly quickly, or you think Ron is going to take this long, drawn-out process?
I think Ron wants to take the process because possibly one of the coordinators could be on these playoff teams. He wants to take the steady, and I think the first thing he's going to address is his own staff, with Ken Zampese as a likely candidate. Maybe talk to Shula once if they, they can themselves, but I don't see that happening with the Buffalo Bills. But I think he wants to take this process steady. Don't try to rush it. He wants to sit there, evaluate what is best for his offense and who's the best guy to be the head coach of the offense. I think that's very significant what I just said. The head coach of his offense, because we know Ron is a very defensive guy, and you know that he's going to watch over the team, but he's also here for his defense. And if he brings back Jack Del Rio or maybe promote Chris Harris. But the offense is the biggest key for this team. It has been the reason why, to me, we missed the playoffs this year, not only because of coaching and other things that's happened, but the offense has been bottom 7 this whole year. And you got guys like Terry McLaurin getting 1,000 yards, and he could have gotten 1,200 yards. Like, he could have gotten 1,200 yards. Jahan Dotson, if he doesn't miss 5 games, he could be an 800, 900-yard receiver. It's just a lot of things on this team that I think Ron is going to evaluate the right way. And I'm going to trust him because, I put a lot of trust in him already. I think I'm going to trust him to get the right guy for this job.
I got a question. Do y'all think the offensive coordinator, whoever that guy will be, is going to have a lot of input in player personnel? In other words, do you think Scott Turner was instrumental in things like bringing Curtis Samuel here, or picking Jahan Dotson, or bringing in B-Rob? And do you think that kind of philosophical input is part of an OC's job, and was that Scott's job, and would that be the new guy's job? You know what I mean?
I think he should have been included. No, go ahead, Breeze.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say, again, having similar experience as far as recruiting and stuff like that.
Coach Breeze done by Crimson Tide.
He should absolutely, be a part of those conversations. Maybe not the final say or the end all be all, but he should definitely be a part of those conversations. As the person coordinating that offense, same as, if I want to go look at a quarterback, hey, Coach Zampese, what you think of this? I want to look at a running back, hey, Coach Jordan, Coach King, what you think of this? That's how it should work. Now, I'm not saying that's what it was, but that's how it should, kind of trickle down through the ranks.
Yeah, man, I agree. I think a coordinator coming in now is like, look, this is what we got. This is what you're gonna have to work with. But any future moves that's made, should they go with a quarterback first round or third round or whatever, that's that. And then also with this new ownership, right? Like, we don't know what's gonna happen, so we don't know how much say he's actually gonna have. What about you, DT?
I mean, Scott Turner was the one who, was scouting Taylor Heineke at Old Dominion, right?
Yeah.
I think, these guys have an opportunity. They evaluate the guys that fit their system. They evaluate the offensive linemen that fit their system. And they were scouting just like these other scouts were scouting out players. Like, I think that's very important. That's a good point, CeeLo. Especially if we're going to a brand new offense, let's say West Coast offense, go back to West Coast again, like what we have with Jay Gruden or Sean McVay. I think you will probably need different linemen, a little bit more athletic. We already know that that was a philosophy difference as well. They went from more outside zone to more power gap scheme later on in the season. And from also the tight end position, Logan Thomas and them, like, they were kind of used more blocking, but you also see that Logan he's not really as dynamic as like a Dallas Goedert or even like a Travis Kelce. I think that's something that's needed in this offense if we make a change. But the offensive coordinator should have some ability to evaluate what type of guys he wants for his team. Because if you're going to hire a guy and the expectation is to at least be top 15 or top 10, he got to get his guys in here because he's already going to bring a quarterback that knows his system to compete with Sam Howell anyway.
Yeah. Sounds good. What you think, CeeLo?
I agree with all that. I think they should bring in. I was just, like y'all said, you got a couple pieces here. I think any offensive coordinator will love some of these pieces, so that won't be an issue. I was just wondering if maybe guys like J.D. McKissick or Gibby ain't all that important all of a sudden, or maybe B-Rob is not as important as we would have liked to believe. Just again, based on philosophy, it's not that he's not good or whatever. It's just a slight tweak, and all of a sudden you see Gibby on the field for 80% of the snaps instead of B-Rob. So I was getting your perspectives on how does philosophy is going to shift as guys are being interviewed and how they're going to present themselves in front of Ron.
Cool.
That's a good point.
Yeah, that's a great point. All right, so coming up, we got Juice in the building from the Baltimore Ravens. He's in the building. We're going to chop it up with him a little bit about the quarterback Lamar Jackson and Dr. Lamar Jackson. So we're going to talk to him about that a little bit, but we're not going to get too much into the Ravens because they do have playoff game this week, unlike us. So on the other side of this commercial, we're going to go to my man Juice.
Hi, I'm Christian Miles, native Washingtonian and real estate agent servicing the Washington metropolitan area. I started my career as an investor and later transitioned to the residential side. I really wanted to leave the investor side because I wanted to connect with people. Building relationships is important to me. I understand the buying and selling process can be challenging. I get it. I've been there. I'm a mom, wife, friend, and neighbor. I absolutely love helping families and connecting with people. Going through the home buying and selling process is stressful enough. When working with me, I make it fun. As a realtor, I think it's important to be able to connect with you. Every detail is important, no matter how small. Let me take care of the heavy lifting while you focus on the joys of finding a new home. Something I live by, people may not remember what you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. With me, it's an experience.
Now we are here. We are back with Juice. Juice, you there, Juice? Yeah, we are back. We got Juice in the building, man. Juice, what's good, man? Welcome to Owning the Huddle podcast.
Not much, man. I was just on my flight to Miami. Flight got
Can't see your face, Juice.
Flight got delayed.
There you go.
Flight got delayed due to me. But man, just good. Just out here. So this Lamar situation, tough. I'm just wait till you answer the questions.
Yeah. We gonna get to it. But before we go, let's tell us a little bit about your personal trainer. You know what I'm saying? The beginning of the year, I know you get like 100 phone calls at the beginning of the year. You know what I'm saying?
So listen, I'm Juice, personal trainer. A lot of people who go by me call me James, call me Juice. I've been training about like 5 years. I have online training programs. I train about anybody. You could be 8 years old, you can be 80 years old. As long as your goal is, I like to focus on people mental fitness, their physical fitness, just to understand, like our health is one of the most important things. I don't want people to wait till they're about 40, 50 years old, they want to make those changes. So I like to give people routines and, just to show people, like, you just need 30 minutes out their day, if that. Sometimes it just won't be some type of activity. So, I've been playing football probably since the age of 5. I had some chance to play professional ball, too, as well. I play Canadian football. Ravens fan, since forever. So it's just like, I say remember both parades, So it's just like a lot of different things. I mean, it's times where I hate my organization, love my organization, but it's just one of those diehard fans who I feel like I bleed purple. But yeah, this is a little about me, and then anybody who's interested in personal training, my IG is j.well__2. I will be having like online training, and I got a fitness competition, fitness challenge that's gonna be coming on next month.
Bet, man. Appreciate it.
I got a question for Juice.
Appreciate it.
Juice,
Let
are
me-
you a Ravens fan or are you a Lamar fan?
Hold on, let me make sure I put this in. I heard you though. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can't hear you now.
Uh-oh.
Can't hear you now, Juice.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
I said I was a fan when we had Kyle Bowles. I was a fan when we had Blake as our quarterback. I was a fan when we had Tyrod Taylor, Troy Jones. We're going to keep going. So a lot of people got to understand and realize. Realize like I was a Lamar Jackson fan coming out of college. That's my favorite player. But so him coming to my favorite team, it just seemed like it was magical. So that's a relationship I don't want to see break up. Like me being a fan of the Baltimore Ravens, then my favorite player being the quarterback, and then also just having that type of guy. Like Lamar Jackson got that Michael Vick effect, in my opinion. Just having that in your own team, it's just dope. So yeah, I'm a Ravens fan. Yeah, I've been through the headaches and everything. Yeah.
All right, so it's somebody else I usually talk to in spaces about the Ravens. Of course, Juice, Miss Gina, also Static. So I'm gonna throw this up there from Static, and so here's Lamar Jackson, right? Thank you everyone for your support and concerns regarding my injuries. I want to give you all update as I am in the recovery process. I've suffered a PCL grade 2 sprain on the borderline of a strain 3. So I tell you right now, that's surgery. So he's pretty much done. There is still inflammation surrounding my knee, and my knee remains unstable. I'm still in good spirits as I continue with treatments on the road to recovery. I wish I could be out there with my guys more than anything, but I can't give 100% of myself to my guys and fans. I'm still hopeful that we still have a chance. Now, let's come back to that. I'm hopeful we still have a chance because we're not talking about the injury on that statement. I don't think so. So here's my man Static. You know how he is. Ravens and their media are nasty as trying to paint narratives like Lamar was going to be able to play and was basically quiet quitting when they knew he couldn't had a grade 3 sprain. If they'll do that, just imagine the offseason. Lamar's so cold for releasing that report, releasing that before the sports news cycle ends. Ravens not going to win this chess match. And he said, please remember, Juice, that Lamar got both of those injuries due to incompetent pass protection. He's never been injured from running, and talk about how a player has never had to disclose their own injury before. The organization wanted the media and fan base to turn on him. All right, so let's talk about Dr. Jackson for a second. How surprising was that? What was your initial reaction, Juice, when you saw that tweet?
I really wasn't truly surprised in a sense, because a couple weeks ago, I forgot what game it was, I seen him on the sideline and I watched him move a little bit. You can still see a limp. So I was still hoping. I didn't know what the grade level was. By me saying there's a grade 2 strain and grade 3 sprain, yes, that's severe in that sense. So I was hoping that it was something where it wasn't as much, but it's not really surprising. They want a situation damn, that shit is actually bad. It's actually bad. So it's I feel like a lot of people get dramatic. It is weird for the Ravens to not say anything, and I don't know why they left it to Lamar to say it, but that's that organization though. I'm not surprised at the organization, but I don't think it's anything. I feel like either way, how the Ravens would have went about it, the fans wouldn't have liked it. If they would have brought up and said the information, they didn't get any hope, fans would have been probably discouraged in a sense. So now by it just coming to a closer game, it probably would have been better off of Lamar saying it rather than the team saying it. Because now imagine if the team would have said it, they would have said, oh, they would have still flipped another story as if the team don't want Lamar yet, right? So
Yeah.
regardless of whoever would have said that information, I feel like it. Because if the Ravens would have said it, what would have been the difference from it? And that's one of the main thing I want to know. Like, what would be the difference from it? Okay, I mean, Lamar Jackson say, I think coming from Lamar is saying what was genuine in the sense like, nah, y'all, I'm the one who's saying I'm hurt. You know, opposed to if the team would have said it, it would be like, oh, it's really the contract. Lamar's really not that hurt. It's not that bad. So now coming out of Lamar's mouth, I'm looking at it as like, oh shit, he might really truly be hurt, and this is the reason. Like, I don't want y'all to think that I'm giving up on y'all or anything. So I'm looking at it in a way, in the sense of Lamar Jackson still got another year in this team. So like everybody go get hyped. So I'm not tripping, bro. You will get tagged if anything in a sense. And people bring up the Roquan contract. I'm not gonna go too deep into that just in case you bring that up. But I'm not even gonna go too deep into that. But like, yeah, I mean, I seen it. I felt relieved that he said it, honestly. Like, I felt relieved that he said it rather than the team said it. Because if the team would have said it, I felt like they would have been bullshit. And so me, on the other side, I feel relieved that it came out of his mouth.
Yeah, man, we're gonna let Breeze and DT ask a question, and then we're gonna let you go. Of course, we gonna bring you back. You know, we know you got business this week. We're gonna bring you back in the off season, and you know, so we know. I just asked you like an hour and a half ago. So, but the next time you come on, we gonna have, we gonna be a little more organized. See, look, you got all look at Juice, man. Look at Juice, man. Go ahead, DT, get your question for Juice.
Hey, what's going on, Juice, man? Hey, so my question to you is, obviously, we know we've been listening to you guys talk about Greg Roman and his offense, right? So when we look at his offense and things like that, knowing that y'all in a playoff game coming up, do y'all think that is a possibility that y'all will let him go just that way y'all can maximize Lamar Jackson's skill set? Because I believe Lamar has potential that has not been seen yet in Baltimore. I mean, he had the MVP season, but there's some things that I know Lamar can do, but he's not being really told that he can do that. What are your thoughts about that?
So is the question more so on Greg Roman and how long him possibly being there?
Yeah.
I think Greg Roman is out of there, truthfully, because I mean, now with like everybody's, so it's crazy in the sense of you see the Ravens offense, who was still struggling like to score touchdowns, but it was averaging 25 points per game, which was within like top 5, top 10 range for the NFL with Lamar Jackson. So now, if Lamar Jackson gets hurt and he gets injured, is not playing, and you go from, let's say you're number 6 to 31st, that says a lot to the offensive coordinator. That says a lot to the coaching, you know? So I feel as though that should show like, hey, you're not able to maximize guys. You got guys like Hollywood leaving, want to leave. You got people not maximizing their potential. You got other receivers that we had drafted before, like a Tylan Wallace, who don't even get used. Like Devin Duvernay is sometimes where I feel like they don't even get used to their best ability. So I truly believe that he's out of there. Like, if he would have had some success, I think he would have like got out of there also based off his success. You get what I'm saying? So even success and not success, I think Greg Roman time is up, because now the Ravens, we struggle in the red zone in a sense because they became predictable. So it's just like you can have dogs. Everybody used to tell me, "Oh, no, let's go trade for this guy. Let's go draft this guy. Let's go get this guy." It doesn't matter if you get the dogs if you don't know how to use them.
Right, we know that. Trust me, we know that.
So it's like you got to be able to put them into that into the best of their ability. You know, like really use them like and maximize their skill set. Like I don't like for some reason they don't put guys. You don't put guys in the best positions, and I feel like that's one of the main things that's going to come onto this off season is going to be crucial. It's in the point of, in order to keep Lamar Jackson to maximize his efforts and his ability, you have to let go of Greg Roman. You have to. Like, Lamar Jackson has outgrown that offense now.
Gotcha. Great response.
Yeah, appreciate that. CeeLo, you got something for Juice?
Sorry. So what I was going to say was, so you mentioned that Lamar got injured in the backfield, or, while he was throwing a pass. As a trainer, and you understand, physiology probably a lot better than we do. Do you think the accumulation of Lamar running the football the way he does? Because you remember, or at least the few times I watched Baltimore, he don't really shy away from anything. I mean, he knows how to fall. He knows how to not get the big pops. But over time, do you think that accumulation of hits can sometimes impact his ability to stay healthy? Over time.
Well, over time, I think over time that more so come with age, more so than anything of like the impact thing. Because when you see Lamar Jackson, he will give the hit more than he takes the hit. He doesn't get touched. Even if that's the case,
Agreed.
like out of his 5 years, it's probably 10 plays you can probably see where Lamar Jackson actually got. I think it was like 2 times he got blown up, but like 10 plays out of them 5 years, you can actually probably see him getting a tackle where it's just like, okay. But other than that, he's running out of bounds. He's making you miss. Or it's just like, it's one of those situations where it's like he's protecting himself, his body, he's turning his shoulders. So it's like the kid, and then like when you play that position, you're a running quarterback ever since like you know how to protect yourself while running too as well. So like both his injuries came from being in the pocket. One was on the blind side. Both was on the one where he was going. They both was coming actually. Both his injuries was actually somebody coming from the right tackle side. So, and I think like both times he was rolling towards the left or looking towards the left. So it comes down to is like, I mean, that's his game, his ability. The only time I feel like that's gonna come up is with age. Like I don't see Lamar Jackson having an issue with like, I don't think like him running will ever be an issue, be a factor. This is one of the things where it's just like that's a God-given talent, ability, and once you know how to do that, it's almost like a powerful dunker, right? You know how to break your stuff when you go in there, or a guy who's more so like you a ball rusher, you a power rusher rather than a speed rusher. You know how to use your skill sets to the best ability. So.
Okay.
I don't think his running ability would be a factor to his any injury or his career. Okay. Yeah. So.
Yeah, Ju. So like we know your answer to this because you're a Ravens fan first and then a Lamar fan. But you know what I'm saying, I've been asking a lot of Ravens fans. You know, when Lamar leave, are they gonna enter the fans transfer portal? So I'm gonna ask you. You gonna enter the portal with Lamar Lee?
First of all, I'm glad you switched it to if Lamar Lee, because you said when Lamar Lee. I don't like that when. I don't like the when. So we're gonna keep it the if. All right? So we're gonna keep it the if. But nah, see, at the end of the day, listen, man. Like I say, I'm from this city. I understand the city. Like, if Lamar Jackson leaves, and it's in the sense of like he wanted to be here, and the team just not making the changes and the moves to like keep him here, I would be a fan, but they will not see me at games unless you bring somebody else that's that flashy that has changed the city. Like Lamar Jackson changed his city, bro. Like he brought.
Yeah, he's
so
a community dude,
love
also.
to it. Yes, he brought so many love to it. Like he brought us want to go back to the games, bro. The game became a social event. A lot of people who don't know anything about football, nothing like it's Lamar Jackson. I see more Lamar Jackson jersey than I ever seen Ray Lewis jersey. So it's like my thing is if you let that go, right. So if you let that go, in my opinion, you feel me? Like, but you're not bringing. If you let that go, or you don't bring the. If you let that go, it just don't make sense to me. But if you do let that go, you better be getting a bookload, and you better be getting somebody like a Bryce Young or somebody that can bring you up something. You have to give us something. You better bring Bryce Young and JSN in this, or Bryce Young and Marvin Harrison Jr. something. But other than that, though, like
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's how I'm looking at it. Like, it's
yes, sir.
If Lamar wants to be here and the Ravens not making any changes, me as a fan, I will still support B as a fan, but I won't go to the games. And I'm gonna be real with you. I did this when it wasn't giving Joe Flacco the receivers. So Joe Flacco went through some of the same things. Joe Flacco, it was a time where we had like a 4 or 5 year drought, not making the playoffs. Like we went through that. So it was but the Ravens was okay with going 10-6, 8-8, 9-7, just getting by. But me as a fan, I want us to get to AFC Championship. We haven't been to an AFC Championship since 2012. That's crazy to me. So when you really break that down, like, bro, that's 11 years ago. So so when you truthfully look at it, it's like if it's to the incompetence of like the organization that he wants to leave, I want support as a fan. But now if it's in the sense where it's just like, hey man, this not working out for me, Ravens, bro, go get your money, bro. I understand and respect it. I will still support him. I will get his jersey. but I won't be that team fan. You get what I'm saying? It's like I'm a Lamar Jackson and Ezekiel Elliott fan. Like that's the one of the crazy things about me. But ever since college, I'm an Ohio State guy. So other than that,
So
like
is
right
DT.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
so hey man, we got cheated, man. We should have, but right now, how I'm truthfully looking at it, I feel like I think this relationship is not broken. It's just more so you got to get rid of a coach. That's all it is.
Here we go.
You got to get rid of a coach.
Here we go. But yeah, man, Juice, man, again, man, we're gonna have you on in the off season
Yeah,
for sure,
love it,
man.
I love it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us, man. We know your time is valuable, and for you to spend some of it with us, man, we appreciate you.
No problem, man. Yeah, to get back to the bar stuff, man. I got somebody just pull up on me and
They go juice for you. They go juice for you.
Yeah, man. Much love, though. I definitely appreciate everybody letting me on and the questions and some dope questions. And y'all be blessed, man. I'm about to celebrate my birthday next week, so I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, I'm keeping up. All right, appreciate you, bro.
All right, man. Take care.
All right. Yeah, man, that was Juice, man. It's interesting talking to Ravens fans, man, but it does seem like if Lamar leaves, that fan base is going to be broken, man. It's going to be broken. It's going to be broken, man.
I mean, when you see something like that, it reminds me of when we had RG3, and RG3 came to DC. It was probably the biggest way because we hadn't had a quarterback of that magnitude create a vibe in that city. Like everybody was coming to the games. There was a lot of RG3 jerseys, man. I mean, like even from when the moment we traded to the number 2 pick, and we all knew who it was for. Everybody was so ready for RG3, man. I actually feel like a lot of the Ravens fans pain. Like, they haven't had a quarterback of that magnitude. It's no disrespect to Joe Flacco. He's been like a guy that can win you some games, but he didn't have that elite trait. He didn't have that extreme swagger. He didn't have something that create and shock the city. Lamar has done that ever since he got drafted there. But it's going to be a strange and interesting offseason for that team from John Harbaugh, Lamar Jackson, Greg Roman, and just the Baltimore organization, man. This is going to be a strange offseason.
So what coach was he wanting to get fired? Was it Greg Roman or was it the other guy?
You know who he wanted to get fired.
Harbaugh?
Yeah.
Oh,
Juice don't like Harbaugh. A lot of them don't.
Okay.
A lot of them. Man, that fan base is split. Like you got your Baltimore County, and then you got your Wild Baltimore. If you know what I'm saying.
I know.
That's why they got Huntley as the number 2, just like Jacksonville had David Garrard. So you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, man. So look, that's it for today, man. Man, this Ravens thing is real. It's gonna be something to follow, especially if they lose. Like I'm definitely going into their space.
One thing. So what do you think? So what if he has to get an injury? I mean, what if he has to get surgery? Does that do anything to the offseason plan?
He's gonna have to get surgery, like the grade 3 and the PCL. He's gonna have to get some sort of a surgery.
I know grade 3 definitely means surgery. I was just like, what do you do if you're a team trying to trade for him? Or what do you do if you're Baltimore? I mean, if you're Baltimore, you just give him a contract and you just wait for him to get better. But I don't know. That makes things a little interesting, right?
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Him doing that for it's crazy that he did this.
But why wouldn't Baltimore just say he has a PCL sprain? He's not looking good. I mean, why? I don't understand why you wouldn't be honest.
Maybe he got his own. Maybe he got his own doctor.
See.
Maybe the team doctor
we
saying
know about that
something
stuff.
else. Yeah. Maybe the team doctor said, "Nah, it's just a grade 2. You can play."
We know about that stuff.
Good. He got his own doctor. He was like, "Nah, you're not good." So I don't know, man. But again, thank you all out there for watching. Thank you for listening. We know your time is very valuable for you to spend it with us. We surely appreciate it, man. Man. Anyhow, man, thank you all out there, man. Remember, do it because you love it, not because it loves you.
Welcome to Owning the Huddle podcast presented by Red Zone in the Lab, where we discuss all things Washington Commanders, from the executive and front offices, coaches, players, and fan experience. Join DT, Breeze, CeeLo, and Deuce as they break down the pre and post games. Do it because you love it and not because it loves you. Hail Commanders!